Hello everybody, and welcome to Gregg's Vintage Workshop, where I'm working to restore history one piece at a time. Tonight we're going to be looking at part 2 of the RCA 87K console radio. In part 1 I showed you guys how I go about stripping the finish off these old radios using lacquer thinner and acetone. And in part 2 we're going to continue with some repairs on the cabinet. I've got some veneer pieces that I have to glue back, and I have the top where I'm going to have to actually splice in a piece. So we're going to be looking at that. So without further ado, let's take a look. Okay, so I brought this 87K RCA down into my workshop. I know I told you I wasn't going to, but I decided I was going to because it's been raining outside. And I wanted to get started on it, so I went ahead and brought it down here. So right now, I am looking to replace this missing piece right here. Let's zoom you in. Okay, we're looking to replace this missing piece right here. This entire piece is lifted off the edge, which is fine, but in my process of my cleaning it, stripping it, this little seam right here kind of got bigger. In order to try and hide this as much as possible, I'd like to be able to match these grains, which are actually running diagonal. One here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. Now I actually have some walnut veneer that has some grain running very similar to that. It's not exactly perfect, but it's pretty darn close. I got that one, and I got this one. This one is running on a diagonal as well, as you can see as it goes down that. So I've been sitting here fiddling with it, trying to determine which one I like the best, and I think I'm going to go with this one, even though it's not a perfect match. Pretty darn close. Might be close enough to kind of hide it. Now, you're never going to completely hide it, but we can hide it a little bit. I mean, I guess if I wanted to just go ahead and glue this down and just take off this little chunk here, this would probably even be a better piece. But I was thinking about taking it more on a diagonal, like here. So I need to clean out. It feels like there's a little lump of hump or something underneath there that I need to clean out. Let's see if I can get a razor blade underneath there and figure out what it is. Could just be a piece of broken veneer laying underneath there, but I don't feel it. Feel something. Yeah, I'm going to have to take it on off. So in order to take this on off and get it fairly close to what I'm looking for, I almost want to take the score on both pieces at the same time. I can either do that, or I can do a trace on it. They're never going to both line. The sad part is if it started right here, it would line up perfect. Look at this one. Let me compare some of this and I'll come back. I want to get the closest match. Alright, so I'm hoping that that grain is going to come through for you guys, and you can see it through my viewfinder. It looks really bright, and I don't have my light on. You can see my light is off, but the overhead light might be casting a bright light on it. But anyway, I finally came up with this piece here that I like, and the grain starts right here and it kind of curves and it runs down, and it doesn't line directly up with this line right here, but I'm planning on cutting it off a little bit higher, and I'm hoping that it will ultimately kind of line up with that. I'm planning on coming kind of like this and then curving down, and so it's not a straight cut. Well, it's going to be a straight cut, First thing I'm going to do is tape this thing to the cabinet so it can't move. Can't say it won't move, but it's my best chance at it not moving. I'm going to tape it on there, and I'm going to get my straight edge, and I'm going to try and cut me a piece that will work. Now, I don't profess to be a cabinet maker or a refinisher. I just do what I can to get by, and hopefully it'll turn out. So if we take that, I want to score both pieces at the same time. I have a better chance of them fitting properly if I do that. Heck, I don't know if I'm going to catch any of that green that's really going to matter. I don't know that I'm capturing enough of that green to even worry about it. I look at it like that. Take another look at this. Maybe I leave that green alone. All right, new plan. We're gonna do this a little bit different. We're gonna cut our piece out, and then we're gonna figure out what looks best with what's left. So, that being the case, I'm going to take it at an angle like this. Alright. There's that piece off. This piece was still adhered a little bit, which is fine. I think we can still get it off. There we go. There's that hump. We've actually got a broken piece right here sticking up a smidgy. I need to get a razor blade and try and get that off of there. So it's a piece of veneer that has come loose below the below surface veneer, but it was sticking up. Now I got that chunk out. I wonder if I can get it back in there where it'll lay down. It's finally smashed down into place. Now when I put my glue on there, it should glue it down too. Okay, I made myself a paper wedge to fit this, slightly oversized, because I want to be able to take the final piece and sand it to fit exact. So let me take this, I'm going to take my piece, which I think I'm going to go with this piece. Figure out the best way to do this. I think I was going this way. Go get this piece cut. I'll be back. Okay, I got it cut. And what I did was I taped it on the edge, and then I used a straight edge, and I cut it. Now, what I wanted to tell you guys is anytime you're cutting veneer, the secret to cutting veneer is to use very, very light pressure. And be careful when you put your tape on, especially on a piece this small. You don't want it to break your veneer. See if I can get it off without breaking my veneer. Peel away from it, and you're less likely to break it. But the secret to cutting veneer cleanly is very, very light pressure. You don't want to do it in one pass. Do it in like 3 or 4 passes with very, very light pressure. That way you don't crush the grain and depress it. This piece should fit in here now. Something like this. And I left it oversized on purpose so I can slide it up and hope to get that grain to finish out close to it, which it looks like that one is real close to finishing out. I'm pretty happy with that. Really happy with that. I think that's going to work. Alright, I think we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and glue this in place. I don't have to file this down any. I do down here, but I'll do that after it sets. Okay, now what I got to do now is throw a little bit of glue under this edge. There's still a little bit of an edge right here that needs a little bit of glue put underneath it, so I'm going to try and use this thin blade here to get it underneath there. Let's see if we can get some glue on this blade and put it on both sides. Try and get it up underneath there some. Just like that. Okay, that's that. Now let's get a little bit where we got to get it. Get over that little piece there that we fixed that was sticking up. I'll take our piece. Go get a rag to wipe that off, and then the cats didn't mind, but I took their water and put a little water on my rag here. And get as much of that extra glue off as I can. And we are going to still have some ooze out. We'll sand that out, but before we do that, I'll let it set up, and I want to put this, which has got film on both sides, so if any glue gets on it, it won't stick. And I think we're going to just use this to apply our pressure. And I need to put some weight on this side. I don't really have anything I can think of that's dense and heavy enough to stick on that. So you have to improvise. So as far as weight, I got the clamp on the one side, but I want to make sure I had an even pressure. So I put a block of wood on top of it, and then I put that spool on it, and then I set that very heavy precision apparatus sweep generator that we're going to restore in another later video. And that thing's heavy. That thing probably weighs 15 pounds. So I set it up there. I got to wait. We'll come back in about 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll take it off, assuming the cats don't knock it off first. Okay, let's see what we got. I left it all night, so it's had all night to dry. Okay, not bad. Not great, but not bad. So I got to cut this excess off and grind this down right here. Put some tape down on this cabinet to protect it while I'm messing with this. I don't want to get it scratched up. Okay, I took my sanding block with some 220 paper, stiff block, so I could get the glue off, and the glue's off now. I'm actually pretty happy with how that looks, because don't know if you guys can see. I'll focus in a little bit better when I get the this piece trimmed off. I can zoom in a little bit better, but I want to get this little piece right here trimmed off first before I get too carried away. We're zooming in and all that. Let me get this off of here and sand it off in the end carefully, so I don't bust it off like I just did right there. That was the idea, not to do that, and I did it anyway, it looks like. And we'll just take that off. I might have to piece that piece back in there once I get this sanded off. Might not need it because that might still be hanging over, and I think it actually is. So let me take this block to it. Let's see if we can get this. I think that looks pretty good, actually. All right. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. Let's take a closer look at this repair. All right, so I'm not sure how well this is coming through, but I'm pretty happy with this because we have the green line coming up this way, and this one's kind of joining with it, and then we got additional green lines coming off to the side, which is following the pattern that's in this wood. So I think that this will be pretty unnoticeable once I get it all finished off. Okay, we're going to try a little bit of blending stick and see what this does. Hopefully I don't like royally screw things up. Well, it looks half bad actually. I still have to go back and sand this off a little bit, but as far as hiding the seam, it looks like it's done a pretty good job. Let me get you guys in a little bit closer, take a look at that. I think it don't look half bad. Okay, I am actually very happy with that. The actual seam, I'm having a hard time seeing it. I believe it starts right here and runs to here, direct diagonal like that. So if you see the grain here, you followed that. We still got our design going in here. Still got our design going in here. I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Hopefully you guys are seeing that. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know that I could ever get that good again. And then by the time I throw a little bit of toner on this, clear it, I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, let's move on to that piece on the front. I was going to show you guys something I had just tried. I've used these little wax sticks before in the past. This is a Mohawk stick. This is not a cheap stick. They call them melt sticks. And when I first got them a couple years ago, I didn't have to melt it. It actually went, but they're pretty hard now. So I was trying something. I took a lighter and I melted some on this piece of wood. If you remember, I had a big divot here, and originally I wasn't going to do anything with it. I figured it was character, but I decided to give it a shot. So originally I tried to put a piece on there and it didn't work because I just blew it off with the heat gun. So what I did was I took a lighter and melted it on this. Then I took my heat gun and melted this. Then I took my scraper and smoothed it on there, and it actually worked quite well. I also did it on a spot here in the front, right there. So I'll probably go ahead and do this on the cabinet in a few spots, but let me show you real quick what this looks like when I do it here. Back you up a little bit. So I'm just going to heat up what's on here a little bit. You gotta be careful because the heat gun will heat it up pretty quick and it'll blow it right off. Okay, so it's liquefied right now. So now I can take my scraper here, put a little bit on there, try that again. Well, this time I'll just try and do it right on my piece here. Okay, that's liquefied. And just put it right on there and scrape it right on there. Get it the way you want it. Then once it's dry, you sand it flush. That actually worked quite well to fill those divots. That one right there might need a little bit more. But I wanted to show you guys that. I'd never done it that way, with it wet, melted and wet, but it actually worked quite well. Let's do that other one. Give that other one another little coat. A little bit more on here going. Got to work quick though because it solidifies back up pretty fast. There we go. Nice little coat. Right there and right there. And I'll just sand those off after they set up, and that should be good to go. So I'll probably go ahead and fix a few of these dents using that method. Any of the deep dents I should be able to get using that method. I'll bring you back in a bit. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at this chip that's busted out right here. The veneer is solid on both sides of it. And I thought about using the same method that we just used on that top as far as the wax. It's actually not that that far of a off match. It is hard. It's pretty darn hard. I think it'd be perfectly fine on the face, but I decided I'm just going to go for it and see if I can't fix it and make it blend in. So there's kind of a squiggly pattern kind of going down this way, and then there's a diagonal going like this. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. So I took another piece of my walnut veneer, and I'm thinking that if I go with that straight pattern only at an angle, maybe that I can get that to blend in there pretty good. I think I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, so let me show you what I've been doing a little bit here. I've got it down off of the sawhorses because if you guys remember from the previous video that all that inside veneer was all delaminated, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with that. But I decided what I was going to do with it, and I did it, and I'll show you what that is. Meantime, I'll show you. I've been doing a little sanding on the cabinet, a little bit of repairing on the cabinet. Still need a little bit more sanding to go. There's that repair right there. I think it turned out pretty good, considering I don't have any real toner or stainer or nothing on it yet. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Alright, let's see, get a little closer. Would you get off of there, Moose? Hopefully I'm going to not tilt this back where you can't see it, but I'm going to try and tilt it back for you. So repair's right there, and if you look close you'll see it. But I think by the time I get some toner on here, that's not going to be seen at all. Let me show you what I did on that inside. Okay, so as you can see, I got that piece of veneer completely off, and it looks pretty darn good. I'm not going to put anything back on it. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to run some glue in here because they have this red, I don't know if it's hide glue or what they use, but there's a lot of that glue in here, and I'm missing one of the blocks up here. Probably can't see that because it's too dark. But I'm missing one of the blocks. I'm going to make a block and put in there. But when I get this cleaned up, I'm planning on shooting this whole interior with some dark brown. And we're going to leave it at that. Alright, so the area that we're going to have to deal with is right here, right on this edge. Not much delamination, just from about here to here. So I think I can put some glue in there and just squish it down. So I might just be able to put some glue on that. Okay, so one of the other little areas of delam that I see here is right here, right on the very edge, and it's not much, maybe 1/8 of an inch of that. But I'm going to try and get some glue in there. But it's also got just a little teeny piece of veneer missing, not enough for me to worry about. But I think what I'll do is I'll take some of my melt-in touch-up stick and put on that edge to fill that up after the glue is set. And then the other piece of delam is right here on this inside portion, right here, just a little bit, But I'll probably try and separate that a little bit more to get in there enough so I can get some glue in there. And then we'll crunch that back in there. Yeah, there's probably no more than 1/8 of an inch. I thought I had one right up here, but I don't. So I think that'll be it. Alright, I got it. So, believe it or not, I'm using a little bitty paintbrush. Still in its original packaging here. And I've got the paintbrush clamped all the way across. From here to here. So between this clamp and this clamp, that should be wedged nice, and of course up here. So I think that will do that, and I think that will stop this video right here. And I think what I'll do is once these clamps come off, I'm going to touch up the edge with my wax, melted wax. I call it wax, but it's not really wax per se. It actually, when it sets, very hard. But I think I'll touch that up, and then I'm going to finish sanding on this thing, and then we're going to have to start thinking about staining it or toning it. And that's my dilemma right now, using stain and what I got here.